Hello, welcome to Fit Fed Feeling Good. I am Maggie, your host, and this is the podcast where we talk all things fitness, food, and feeling good. This is, of course, a huge feeling good, actually, bonus series we're going to do here. We're going to talk about Survivor Season 50 in the hands of the fans. I've always kind of wanted to do a Survivor recap, and then once we got to Survivor 50, I thought, okay, for sure we're going to make this happen. Wednesday nights, we're going to grab those notes and take the notes for every episode and hopefully get them out to you as soon as possible. So maybe your notes will match up with mine. And if you have any comments, I would love to hear because Survivor is so much fun. It always is just a really positive, encouraging, motivating show. I always recommend so many people to watch because it's really a feel good, even though there's some spots that can get a little sticky. So Survivor 50, the title for this season is In the Hands of the Fans. And I want to know if you all did any of the pre-work for Survivor 50. There were the states that had their own idol and all the clues. I signed up for them and I saw, Wyoming's clue, it'll be announced in 3 days. So I was watching all of that fun unfold on social and seeing the pre-talk interviews that Jeff held. And they really did a great job hyping up Survivor Season 50 in the hands of the fans. So let's go right into the episode. So right away, there's a huge entrance. Beautiful scenery with the ocean and the beach in the background. Big, huge boat comes up, very dramatic. And throughout the opening, there's a ton of quick flashbacks all the way to May 31st, 2000. And then they're greeted on the beach by Jeff, who welcomes them in the biggest way. And everyone is cheering, super excited. And he welcomes them to season 50 in the hands of the fans. People are cheering and just mentioning how historic this is. This is 25 years in the making, 49 seasons, and we're at season 50. Jeff mentions there's been 751 players that have played Survivor, and there's 24 players for this season. Fans get to choose what type of game this is. So I'm very curious how that's going to roll out. What part of the game are we going to get to see this season? Because there have been things that have happened, and then in a few seasons, you're thinking, I didn't see that. So I'm wondering what will come back, what will leave, or what the fans voted for. So Jeff gives a huge welcoming pep talk. He is telling all of the players in the most encouraging, motivating way that they are here and they have to give everything. He was just saying, I need all of your energy. I need everything you've got. So he kept repeating, give everything. Jeff talks to Jenna and Devins and Suri just about Jenna being the first one, 49 seasons ago, and she's back on season 50. How exciting. And of course, the emotions start. Suri starts talking that she just got off the couch and wanted to make this happen, and now it's big dream. Jeff talks to Colby and Devins and a little bit more, but really a lot of great energy. And people are saying this is an opportunity they'd be a fool to pass up. So now we're to passing out the buffs, and they're told to grab the buff with their name on it. And then we're going to get divided into the 3 tribes. We have purple, teal, and orange. Purple is Vatu, V-A-T-U. Teal is Kalo or Kalo, K-A-L-O, and orange is Sela. Now we get to the first, what is in the hands of the fans, and it's rice and supplies. And Jeff does a wonderful, wonderful tease. He says, what do you think they voted on? And the vote was very close. So, but actually for both of them, they have to earn the rice and they have to earn the supplies. So a little bit of letdown for the players, but that's just part of the game. So after we hear about the rice and the supplies, it's time for the first challenge, the marooning challenge. There are huge heavy ropes. There is a puzzle with a big long log. There is digging under the log and everything you would imagine Survivor to be. So the dig is first, and you can feel that Survivor momentum happening. You can feel cheering them on, and whoever gets under that log first, and it's Stephanie first. And then we're going to the puzzle with that big long and the log and the rings. And then we have to push the boat out and drag it and get the big heavy rope out of there. And what we need to do now, I'm talking like I'm in this challenge. What the players need to do is take their torch with the key and run and get fire. And whoever wins earns flint and a huge bonfire at their camp. So Vatu wins. Q is the one that actually puts the torch in the flame, and everybody's excited. Well, right after that, each tribe has to choose one person to get on a boat and try to go earn the supplies. So think about the machete and the big cast iron pot. And the tribes choose Coach, Ozzy, and Q. Right there, I'm already thinking, wow, this is going to be a pretty good matchup here. So they head out by boat and they get to an island. And right then is our very first confessional. And Rizzo gets it. I think this is a big deal. Rizzo was just on, did very well in season 49. It's very energetic and talking just how wonderful it is to be there. So we get to the beaches and the boats go to the beach and everyone is welcoming each other, introducing themselves if they don't know each other or telling them they were fans of each other from the other seasons. And it's actually really beautiful. And they see the winner, Vatu sees their huge bonfire and they are just, this is amazing. So they're so excited. We're going to pan back to the challenge to earn the supplies. So we have Ozzy, Coach, and Q. Now, Ozzy and Coach talk about the beef they've had and they want to squash it. And they're actually feeling pretty good. They talked it out because Coach felt Ozzy was the person that caused him not to win his season. So they feel pretty good about talking that through and putting that behind them. So now the challenge is they have to go retrieve supplies. And actually, Q is thinking, oh my gosh, Ozzy's way ahead of me, but I'm just going to still keep playing. They have to retrieve supplies. They have to build a long stick, and it needs to be sturdy enough to go behind this. I'm going to call it a fence, but it's almost a big open fence. They put the stick through. It's just kind of a barrier so they can't go further close to where the key is. And Ozzy's stick is almost like a fishing rod. It bends and curves, and he just is exhausting himself. And Q is saying, I'm just going to wait. It's 45 minutes now. We haven't even gotten this key. And during their confessionals, they're saying, really, all I need is the key. I don't need to get it off of the hook. So they're letting Ozzy do all of the work. Well, it gets down. Ozzy's completely spent. He's been working so hard to try to get the key. And Coach hooks the key. And Ozzy says, can I just please have it? I did all this work. Coach grabs it and says, basically, it's mine. So I guess the beef might be back on because Ozzy was very upset. He wasn't upset. He was just not happy. He was very disappointed. And Coach basically stole the key. That's what they're saying. So Coach takes off on the boat with his supplies and he's all cheery. And then Q and Ozzy have to flip over this canvas piece to read what is happening. And they read they are spending the night on Exile Island. No return to camp that night. And they show a little couple scenes that the bugs are so bad and there's creepy crawlers all over them and they're cold and they feel they're missing out at camp, which they probably are, right? But we're going to find more about that later. So it is just not good news to spend the night there, and Ozzy and Q are there. So Coach returns, and everyone almost knows they need to build him up. They see the supplies, they're telling him he's terrific, amazing. They're praising him, praising him, praising him. He eats that up and very good. Next scene, we go to Christian and Devon's. And they're both saying, "You're my Captain Kirk and I'm your Mr. Spock." And they're just chummy. And they seem genuinely excited that they're going to work together, that they're going to be bonded and have fun in the game together. Then they pull in Emily, which I thought was pretty interesting. And Emily has a confessional saying she kind of felt as an outsider alone on her season. So to feel being pulled in and people wanting to work with her, she said that was an amazing feeling. She seems just very wide-eyed and open to anybody having some ideas of how they want to play the game. Some beautiful scenes of the beach and the island and people very excited to be there. The next interaction is basically with Aubrey and Genevieve. I liked these two players in the past, but right away you have this sense that Aubrey is just a little suspicious of Genevieve, and Aubrey's a little standoffish, not sure she can trust her, so she has a face-to-face conversation with her. Now, the boats arrive back on Exile Island. I'm going to jump there, and this is for the supplies for Q and Ozzy. So basically, one of them will get supplies, but one will get an extra vote. The person that gets the supplies will lose their vote, and the person that doesn't take the supplies will have their vote and get an extra vote. And Ozzy's saying in this game, any advantage is a must. So Ozzy's trying to convince Q, I really need the extra vote. The way my tribe has rolled out, I think the supplies would be good for you. So it actually works out well because Q then does say, I'm going to come back to the camp and be a little bit of a hero. I'll have the supplies. People will really love that I earned these supplies. And Ozzy's going to go back empty-handed, not knowing about the vote. So that's an interesting thought because at first I was not totally on Ozzy's side about that getting the vote is more precious, which it probably is for himself in the short term. But the long term, knowing your teammate earned you supplies and he lost his vote, that probably could play out big too. So we will see. Now, Ozzy says, no, Ozzy, I am Oscar from here on out. I need to get better at negotiating. So he almost has this transformative position right there and then. So we will see if he is Ozzy. So Oscar gets the extra vote. Q loses his vote, but gets the machete and pots, and the tribe is very excited when Q comes back with those supplies. Q first says, I'm not going to tell anyone I lost my vote, but then he does. He tells Kyle. Now, this was almost the next thing that happened was one of the coolest things I've seen. Christian makes fire with his glasses, his eyeglasses. Wow, art and science together, so super cool. And he has a really emotional confessional. He's talking about that no one knows he's a dad, and he knows that someday his child is going to watch the show, and he just wants to make that his child so proud, and it is really beautiful. It's very, very beautiful. Ozzy tells Sari about the extra vote, and he says, I really need a new strategic game. And that was a big theme. I saw a lot of people say, I need to be more cutthroat. I need to be more strategic. I need to play a more social game. So a lot of people are trying to think of the game they played in past seasons, and they're making a verbal announcement that they want to change up their game. All right, now we've got the challenge, the big challenge. It's a big muddy net. You have to flip this huge, heavy coconut cage. You have to toss coconuts in the net, and the basket gets heavy, pulls down. And this is for fishing equipment and immunity. So they're playing. They're all climbing through as muddy as can be through that heavy net. They are pushing that big, heavy coconut cage over. And then they getting the drop down ladder, but it's not a ladder, it's a slide, and they have to basically run up it, almost like Ninja Warrior. And Kyle is trying to get up there and slides down, and my gosh, is hobbling, barely walking. He tries a few times. Jell yells, stop, 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 stop. The people at the top doing the puzzle yell, stop. Everybody stops, and medic comes to check on Kyle. Well, Kyle is determined to continue. He says, I really want to get up that ladder, and Jeff just basically says, I can let you continue, but you need to be able to play the game. So he basically gets pulled up the ladder to the top, and he says he is feeling a little better. The puzzle is in full force. Kylo wins immunity and the fishing gear, and Vatu is safe too, and they win a smaller fishing gear. But Seela's going to the first tribal council and with no flint. Seela goes to tribal. It says this tribal is over 25 years ago, the first tribal. Lots of talk. Ozzy, Christian, Jenna, Sari, Emily, Devin, Savannah, Joe. Joe talks about the Kyle and Camilla blindside. And Ozzy does have that extra vote, but is he going to use it? So at camp, they were all going back and forth. Maybe we blindside Ozzy. Maybe we get Jenna, maybe Sari. And Sari hears her name going around, so she's really pushing for Jenna, because it was Jenna that first started the names. And people were saying, why are we throwing around names when we haven't even really gotten started with the game? But I want to backtrack just a little bit. Jenna ultimately gets voted out, and she seems really upset. She's not happy. Someone says good luck to her. She doesn't even look back. Genevieve and Steph looking for idols now. And Genevieve finds this boomerang, this Billie Eilish boomerang idol, which means it'll circle back to her. And she has a big choice to make. She can give it to an person she thinks might get voted out, and the idol will come back to her. Well, she decides to give it to Ozzy as the beneficiary of this Billie Eilish boomerang idol. Well, here we go. Next scene, boat pulls up, one person gets on, and Mike goes, Savannah goes, and Colby goes. They all go on a boat, and they draw rocks to see who gets to play the game. Mike drew the odd rock, so he right away just gets on the boat and leaves. So he basically just had a boat ride. Savannah and Colby play. They have to build a structure, and whoever makes the structure fall after the last piece, they are out. Well, you can tell Savannah and Colby have a very different height gap, and she's already feeling she wants the structure to go wide, where Colby wants the structure to go high, and she's thinking if it gets any higher, I won't be able to reach it. So you can see one piece is already wobbling, and Savannah ends up winning because Colby's piece, it just couldn't stick. So anytime he took his hands off of it, it would just fall. And Colby did lose his vote. And when they go back to camp, it's basically keep a vote, lose a vote, but their tribe members do not believe it. They say they had to have some sort of advantage where they did. So after the boat leaves, there is a secret block a vote that Savannah gets. So no one really knows. Next, Jeff comes by to the camp where Kyle is, and he brings the doctor and the med team, and they do some tests and basically say, this is a huge deal, Kyle. If your tendons need to be attached for them to heal, you probably, if you don't get this fixed, you could be, not walk the same for the rest of your life. So Kyle mulls it over a little bit and says, yeah, I should probably head out. So Kyle leaves camp. They do actually an ultrasound. They do some tests, and they're pretty sure his Achilles tendon is ruptured. And Kyle is, I guess, involuntarily or voluntarily removed. So he gets pulled from the game. The tribe is emotional, and Kyle gives wonderful speech and asks for hugs. And everyone is saying, we're going to win it for you. We're going to win it for you. And he asks one of his tribes to take it all the way. So it was a very bittersweet ending there. But it was a wonderful episode. I was happy that I was able to watch and jump into the Survivor 50 season, episode 1. I've been waiting for it for quite some time, and I wanted to share it with you. And I hope maybe I will do a better job episode 2, but join me then. All right. And if I got any of the parts wrong, I was just taking my notes, so don't quote me on any of these, but it was a lot of fun to watch and try to take notes as I was watching along. Thanks for joining Fit Fed Feeling Good. This was just a feeling good episode, just something light and bonus, and appreciate you listening. Thanks for listening. I am not a doctor, nor am I a counselor. This is entertainment only. Please follow your physician advice for any new routine or healthcare needs. Also, this is just for fun for Survivor. I am not an affiliate of the show, and if I have my order events mixed up, I am just a fan following along and posting some of my own opinions.